But just tell me a bit about your journey into football.
Yeah, it was pretty long. I was in the academy and then got released at the stage that you would have got of YTS back then, youth training scheme. Never cut the mustard to get offered that at Carlisle. So I went into non-league for a little bit, and I ended up out in America playing at the D3 level, which was effectively their third division. Yeah, went to America for 3 years and came back for a few non-league stints, and then eventually managed to get signed for Carlisle in the conference.
So were you having to kind of do bits and pieces on the side to make ends meet?
Yeah, like I said, I was a plasterer's labourer, and then I'd get off and I'd play for Workington or Barrow, or just getting away on a Tuesday night. Sometimes that was quite good because I worked for my dad, so he was quite supportive that way. Even though he was a labourer, but when I was in America, it was just full football. It was full time. Got paid just enough to get by as a young guy.
Is that quite scary to think that if you hadn't have had, say, a manager like your old man who kind of let you play football, do you feel like non-league must lose a lot of people because they have to just commit to where the money is?
Personally, I would have quit. I
really?
Would stuff the job, yeah. I think when you're young, you can make decisions like that, and if I had a boss that was a bit stuck in his ways, let's say, I think I would have walked on him and just been like, screw you, I'm going to play football.
Okay, I'm going to move on to joining Brighton. How did that come about then?
No, I done well at Rochdale. I left Carlisle. Basically, I signed for Carlisle, and the club progressed too fast for me within 18 months of signing my first professional contract. We'd been promoted twice from the conference through League Two into League One, and I just wasn't good enough at that time. The club progressed too quickly for me, so I had to take a step back to Rochdale, where I really started to believe in myself and learn how to score goals.
Obviously, you got promoted in the 10-11 season. It seemed like a pretty strong league because that was the year that Southampton went up as well.
Yeah, so we went a little bit continental down there. We got Gus Poyet and he got us playing some really nice football, especially for the level and especially for the time back then. We put a squad together that was good and really good, and it got promoted. But I mean, when you look back in hindsight, it was really strong. I mean, it was a three-pronged attack of me, Chris Woods and Ashley Barnes.
Wow.
Who were cut in the Premier League. Craig Noon, Elliot Bennett, Liam Bridcut, all played in the Premier League. Tommy Elphick. Obviously, we were playing at the Withdean with the running track around, and it wasn't a particularly nice place to play football. But we knew that the club had got plans for a new big fancy stadium in the Amex.
On to your time at Palace. I know you've probably been asked this question a million times, but just how did that come about, and was there any kind of hesitation? You know, obviously being rivals and such.
Why did that come about? It just did, really. I think Brighton decided to go for someone new in Craig McHale-Smith, and they broke their sort of transfer record for him. And I was aware that was going to happen. And I think as a striker who scored a lot of goals for the club, you want to feel loved, I suppose, and feel important. But when they're going out and they're breaking their transfer record on another striker, I suppose it put my nose out of place a little bit. And Crystal Palace offered me a fantastic opportunity where I could still live in my family home in Brighton.
And then I noticed, just looking through the numbers, so your first season you scored 6 league goals, but then the next season you scored 30.
Yeah.
So what happened there? Like, what was the change for you there?
Every step up in the game I've had, it's always taken me a season to find my feet at that level. So yeah, that was my first year in the Championship. Just took me a little while to get to grips with the standard. I think it's fair to say also that in my second season we did form a better team, and I had Yannick Bolasie and Wilfred Zaha on either wing, and that can never be a bad thing for a forward like me.
Yeah, so obviously you got promoted in that second season. I mean, you were on fire. I do actually remember seeing the playoff game where you obviously did your injury. I mean, that must have been just an absolute nightmare at the time, right?
It was really bad at the time. Obviously, the timing of it wasn't great, but it was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to my career.
Really?
It turned me more professional. It learned me how to look after my body, and I think if I didn't snap my ACL at 29 or 28, was it? I wouldn't be playing football today at this age. It was bad timing. It was the semi-final of the playoffs, and lo and behold, it was against Brighton as well. My career seems to be entwined between both the clubs.
Do you feel like you could fully recover from an ACL? Because I just speak to so many footballers where they say they pinpoint an injury that was the beginning of the decline, in their play and stuff. So you didn't notice that personally then?
Well, I think my stats suggest otherwise, don't they? For some reason, I worked really hard. I was really lucky to get the right medical help around me. I think that's extremely important to help build your knee back up to what it was. And without doubt, I had a lot of questions and a lot of doubts over my knee. Would I come back stronger? Would I lose any pace? But no, I was lucky. I made a full recovery, and I never have any problems from that knee. My
final question is: Did kind of the move from Brighton to Palace? Did any of that off-field stuff ever get to you?
Yeah, I suppose I did to a certain extent. I live right in the centre of Brighton. I think the rivalry was something that, even though I'd spent 3.5 years at Brighton, I didn't realise to the extent it was, because we'd never come across Crystal Palace in my time at Brighton. And funnily enough, my first visit back, the first time I met between both clubs was at the Amex about 3 or 4 weeks into my Crystal Palace career. And then it sort of dawned on me and didn't bother me. Obviously, I got stopped a few times and abused a few times, but nothing that I hadn't had on a Saturday afternoon at close quarters. But,
So last but one, so obviously you moved back to Brighton for your second spell. I mean, you've done unbelievable there again, but I suppose in the very, very early stages, what was it like going back there? How many goals did it take for you to win the fans back over?
Yeah, I went back to Brighton. Listen, it was a really important move for me, the Brighton move, because I'd left Crystal Palace as someone who scored goals, and I joined Bournemouth and didn't play. I wasn't involved and I didn't score goals. And I'm aware, and I'm a realist that when you're not scoring goals, you soon get forgotten about in this game. One worry was how the fans would take to me. Again, I'd never moved from the city, so everyone was quite used to me being around and seeing me around the city. I think I understood that I needed to score goals to be accepted, and thankfully I did that.
Again, I'm sure you've been asked this annoying question, but obviously you were getting into your 30s at that point. Was there anything that was in your mind thinking, I don't know whether I could do this in the Prem? Because, you scored 25 goals in 2 seasons. I mean, it's unbelievable. But was that never a thought in your mind?
I think it was more so that I was at an age where I knew it was my last opportunity and I was willing to give it everything. And if I wasn't good enough, then so be it. But I wasn't going to roll over and not give it everything. So I just attacked the season really, and deep down I believed that I could score goals with the right sort of opportunities and the right play around me, and thankfully I got that at Brighton, and I managed to score a number of Premier League goals for them.
What was your secret to success? Like, why are you continuing to play at a really decent level and did it at the Premier League, where perhaps a lot of strikers don't stay at that high level, when they get into their 30s?
I go back to my ACL, and I changed my whole approach to football, to my lifestyle. Everything changed around that point, and also getting that injury at 29 years old, and wondering if you're going to ever be the player that you once were. You start thinking about retirement, and it sort of scares you a little bit into producing more than what you ever have.
Did an England call-up ever come across you? Did you? I felt like there was points I've noticed you where you were definitely up there for English goal scorers. I mean, was that ever something that got close to happening?
Yeah, I think there was quite a lot of talk about it at one point, especially in one squad. But I think it was quite early on in Gareth's tenure, and I just don't think that was the route he was going down, unfortunately for me. If another man had been in charge, then maybe, who knows? But it was nice just to be linked with them. So
Forest, how did that come about? Obviously reunited with Chris as well.
I just spent the first 6 months of the season on loan at Watford from Brighton, and it didn't really work out very well, and I just wanted the opportunity to play some games, play some football at this age, and thankfully Chris Hughton gave me that opportunity.
I mean, it looks like results-wise that things have gone pretty well the last few months. It seemed like a tricky start for the club.
When I joined the club, wasn't looking too good. It was a question of not going down and staying in the Championship, and I think we've done that comfortably. And as a club and as a squad, we're growing, and I think it could be quite an exciting season next season.
Ben, that's all from me. Appreciate your time. Thanks a lot, mate.
Nice one. Cheers.